I know, busy.
And Will's always coming in.
I see him every
Does he
day.
ever sleep?
I think
He ever sleep?
Okay.
I left his email before 15.
And as always, I want to thank everybody, citizens come out for our trustee meeting here. Certainly, before mentioning it, just as I look through the room, I see some veterans in here. Monday was the day. I hope we took the time to thank the veteran for all the freedom that they have safeguarded and assured us that we have here today. So, you veterans, I wouldn't have you stand up, but I know who you are. I hope, know my community, many have wished you that. Thank you for your service. Okay, I'd like to have a roll call here. Trustee Lewis isn't here tonight. She has a sick child in her family. She let us notified of that on email. Trustee Morrison? Here. Trustee Spellman? Here. And Fiscal Officer Karen Gritty. I'd like to ask us all to join Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any amendment to the agenda or anything that we'd like to bring up? We are having a visitor from it's the Health Commissioner of Mahoney County, Pat Sweeney. She's asked to go as early as she could possibly do that, so I think Karen and Kurt and I have no problem with that. Whenever she comes in, we'll get her. She's doing an excellent job that she comes into this. She is going to visit 3 townships tonight, so she's on a whirlwind tour. When she comes, we'll try to facilitate that for her. We've had the minutes of sent out to us, and we've reviewed those. And I'm looking at anything. We accept them as a motion to do.
Okay, we had a special meeting on Deal Lake on the 22nd of October. Did we have minutes recorded on that?
Yeah, and I didn't bring it.
Okay. So we can approve those at the next meeting.
Yeah, we'll approve the
Okay,
December meeting for the October special meeting then. We're just dealing with our last October 19th.
We made a motion at that point that night to accept them in draft. Did you want to accept them again? Remember, because the gentleman from Deal Lake
Okay.
needed them?
If that's sufficient, then.
Is that, Artie?
Yeah. Let's do it that way. That gives us time and we can get it right.
Do you want me, then that's okay?
I'd like to see the final draft of it.
Okay.
Okay, anything else, Trustee Morrison? No. We had a special meeting in an executive session, so it was about preparing for possible litigation and an upcoming lawsuit. So those minutes will be prepared and given here. I remind you, in executive session, there isn't minutes taking during that course, so it'll show the functionality of us conducting the business. I'll second those minutes. You're making a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the October 9th, 2013 minutes as written.
And I'll second those. All in favor? Trustee Morrison?
Yes.
Trustee Spellman? Yes. As we've seen that, now Pat, you don't get much time to warm up in the box here. This is Patricia Sweeney. She's our Mahoney County Health Commissioner. She hasn't been here very long, but she hit the ground running, and she has 3 townships to visit tonight.
This is number 2, and that's why I'm late. I'm sorry. Pullen Township went a little bit longer than normal. They talked a lot. So.
Well, we want you to feel comfortable, and we've all agreed that when you came in, we can give you this. So
Thank you very much, because I am going to Springfield tonight as well.
And you can do that.
All right.
Warm welcome for
Thank you very much.
Pat Sweeney. Warm Ellsworth welcome.
doesn't feel like it's not been that long. It's already almost a year and a half that I've been in this position, so it's starting to feel a little less brand new. I'm coming out to see each of the townships and visit each of the township trustees intentionally because, as you know, about in the spring, each of the townships ratified a plan that was proposed by the Solid Waste Management District to the Ohio EPA. And that plan set forth a budget that funded the Board of Health to do landfill inspections and water well testing and nuisance abatement and nuisance complaint follow-up. That budget was set forth, approved by all the townships, and moved on back to the Ohio EPA. Since that time, with the closure of Central Landfill, the Solid Waste Management District itself has experienced a $600,000 shortfall in the revenues that they anticipate receiving in fiscal year 2014. That $600,000 out of it was a $3.1 million budget is now a $2.6 million budget, so, or 2.3 actually. So they have had to cut programming funding across the board to all the programs that the Solid Waste Management District funds. Now, in the past, I've come to trustees asking for their support because in the year before, the Solid Waste Management District just wanted to cut funding to the Board of Health to the tune of 50% and keep everybody else's funding the same, all the other programs that they fund. That I asked for the support of the township trustees, and they all unanimously supported the Board of Health at stable funding. But with the Solid Waste Management District experiencing a shortfall of $600,000, there's absolutely no way that they can sustain funding to all the programs at the level that they had proposed in their original fiscal 14 budget. So what they have proposed this year and what they've actually sent to the EPA and is what they're going to be living on and we're going to be living on is a 40% cut across the board to all of their programs. Everything but the prosecutor's office and the sheriff's office. And the sheriffs they're funding because they do a day reporting program that helps them do litter control and litter pickup. So that results in a 40% cut to our budget as our solid waste management budget in the health department. That is a big component of our environmental health department. We do landfill inspections, water well testing, nuisance complaint and follow-up, compost inspections, infectious waste generator inspections. There's a lot of work that goes on in that program that has been cut 40%. It's not the place I want to be, obviously. It's not the place the Solid Waste Management District wants to be, even if they didn't want to fund the health department before, they didn't want it to come this way. And I do believe that under the new management of the Solid Waste Management District, they're being very forthright and transparent in what's happened. I don't know that we would have had the amount of information historically that we are getting now from this new Lou Vega, who's now the director of the Solid Waste Management District. But I want to come to the townships and explain to them that a 40% cut in our program funding is going to make a change in our responsiveness to nuisance complaints. It has to. We've had to reduce the hours of time of a person in that nuisance program. So it's likely that if you have nuisance complaints, there's going to be more difficulty and more time lag for us to be able to respond to them. And we work closely with zoning and with the township trustees to make sure that those kinds of problems don't stick around forever. They do become public health issues. So I want to open the door for communication between the township and the health department, but I want you to recognize where we are, that this is not something that we willfully changed or wanted to change, or that we just turned around and walked away and didn't do anything to fight for it. We definitely tried, but you can't get blood out of a turnip. And with Central Waste closing, there isn't money going into that landfill to generate the fees to the Solid Waste Management District. So that's why I'm coming to the townships. I know that each of the townships themselves are also receiving a cut in the funding from the Solid Waste Management District. You're all receiving 41% cuts, as I understand it, so it's a shared heartburn, across the board. But I just felt I had to come out and talk to all the townships to let them know that, we're going to do our best, and we want you to come to us if we're not getting something done that you think we need to be. But, just talk to us. We're going to try our hardest.
Okay, one thing that's very special to us in Ellsworth is the well inspections. The water well inspections. We have several closed down landfills that were put in before the EPA got involved. And along with, we are the biggest tributary or area that goes into the Meander Watershed District. So along with it being special to us, it's special to everybody that drinks Youngstown or Niles Water also. Is that well inspection, is that on the table also?
It is not being cut, but generally, most of the landfills, we always get 2 samples around carbon because of the host agreement that we've had with Carbon Limestone and the county commissioners and the solid waste management district. So we had to do 2 samples a year in all of the wells that are part of the program around that landfill. Every other landfill we've done around them once a year. We're going to continue
Even the
to do.
closed ones?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
definitely. Once a year, we'll continue to do that. But we've had to drop carbon down to once a year as well.
Okay. Pat's heard me at many meetings talk about that. And thank you for listening.
We are also going to, recognizing that funding is tight, there is a scientific process to go about to selecting wells. And this had, when funding was bountiful, people could sign up and join in, and it was kind of a voluntary thing. If you want your well tested, that's great. And people, 5 houses in a row could do that. But there's hydrogeology underneath the ground, the way the water flows, and I'm not an expert in this, but there are experts at YSU that we can work with to help us figure out which wells we should be testing to make certain, if 5 wells in a row would all show the same thing if you did the 3rd well, then we're not going to test all 5. But we might come farther around and pick a house over here and ask them if we could test this well, and maybe they weren't a participant before, but they'll be a better sentinel well for testing. So we're really going to be looking at making it a strategic, scientific process for how we go about testing the wells. We were confident that we were getting enough before because of just sheer volume, but as the volume opportunity decreases, we'll be more strategic about it.
Pat, I know you're on limited time, but...
I don't mean to just blow in and blow out.
No, but you're limited on time. Does the public have any questions for Ms. Sweeney here?
Yes, sir.
Do you supply a breakdown of expenses to the various categories of expense?
You wouldn't believe what we supply to the solid waste management district in terms of the dollars that are spent. We can provide that to you by the minute, how many minutes we spend in travel, documentation, inspection, phone call follow-ups, all of it. So they know exactly what we have used the money that comes from the solid waste management.
How do you get that report?
It's an open record. It's a public record request.
Okay. One other question. Were you required to reduce manpower?
We had to just by virtue of,
Okay.
we didn't have to lay anyone off. We did reduce hours.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
With all these inspections that you've done with these wells, what kind of results have you gotten? Have we got contamination, or has it been clear? I mean,
We
been doing
haven't
this
had
a long time.
any gross contamination. Well, this is one of those things that you continue to do. It's like getting your blood checked, so
Mhm.
you don't wait until you're, so over 10 years, at least 10 years, we have well water testing patterns. And you'll see things creep up, and then we'll talk to people, because they actually get reports. I don't know, are any of you participate in that water well testing program? If you're within a mile area radius of the landfills, people can get their wells tested, and the report comes back, and it's a multiple report, but there's a summary, and it talks to them about what's creeping up or what's not there, and bacteria or metals and different things, and ways that they can abate some of those problems in their wells. We have not seen gross contamination of any wells. And that's what that's the this, that's what you don't want to see, and that's why you continue to test and monitor.
Good. And again, those 2 sites are on Quarry Road and one's on Hilltop, behind the Myers equipment there, and they're the oldest, and they've been spot on, so we appreciate that.
And we have, by our inspections of those, we have found things that were subsiding, slides out there, and then got the EPA involved as a result of that. So we continue, even though it's under EPA oversight, we continue to visit and inspect those landfills.
Those were made with very old technology, so again, thank you for that.
Technology.
Yeah, no liners at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very little compaction sometimes too.
It's just, we had the Austintown office come out, what was it, about 2 years ago, and do a very in-depth analysis of our water because we were afraid of the fracking in the area. And they did an amazing job. And the people we dealt with were just super, very professional, very friendly. They explained everything in detail. So I hope they're still available because
They are
did
still
a
available.
great job.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that. Yes, sir.
Pat, I got one thing to say.
Yes.
Follow up with Dee said. There was a hearing at Youngstown City Council about 2 years ago at Cavelli Center. Of all the hundreds of people, I was lucky enough to sit next to you. And I want to tell you, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And whatever we can do to help you.
Thank you very much. Well, likewise, the door's open I know it's going to be a tough year if the funding, so just let us know if there's something we can do for you that we're missing.
Pat, could you come up? Thank you, people. Pat, could you come up? Sure. Yeah, that's what I want. This is our fiscal officer here.
Hi, very nice to meet you.
This is our zoning inspector.
Be careful driving.
Thank you. A little slow.
You should.
Okay.
You know us too.
Yes, thank you.
And on the way out, Pat, if there's a Girl Scout in here that's getting credit, she would sign her paper.
Absolutely, I'd be delighted.
I've told her that you are the most powerful person in
Oh.
the county. So
I can't even claim that at my house. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Pat.
She's got enough patches, you need a sleeve.
Wow, I guess. Fantastic.
Stand up and show her all your patches.
Oh, that's wonderful.
In the bag.
You've done some work, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh, that's wonderful.
She has
Did
more
you
home
go
we
up?
haven't put on there.
Oh, my gosh, that's fantastic.
Much room left.
Keep up the good work.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, now we've got, Karen been doing a lot of work this month, so your fiscal report here.
Okay, as of today, $995,425.87 in the checking account. We had a request from a former resident who owned cemetery deeds in Ellsworth Cemetery. Through a divorce, in her divorce decree, the deeds were given to her, but currently they were in her name and her ex-husband's. So I researched, this took a couple months, through the county prosecutor's office, and it was determined that we could then reissue the deeds to her in her name only. So tonight, the trustees are signing, don't forget there's 2 pages.
And we appreciate that, Karen. That took a lot of work, to get the prosecutor and her to write that letter, excuse me. I appreciate the volume of work on
Okay, so
that.
I need somebody to make a motion to do that, okay? I need just a simple resolution to transfer the deeds out of Mr. and Mrs. Wagner's name into Mrs. Lois Wagner Bennell.
I will make that motion, so moved, that we transfer those.
Are you making it?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second the motion following the procedure that the prosecutor's office instructed us to do.
Thank you. And you're good.
Okay, we have a vote. Trustee Morrison?
Yes.
Trustee Spellman, yes. Again, thank you, Karen. We'll sign these.
Now, the other thing is, we also have cemetery deeds for the 3 crypts for lanes that are being signed. And then we have, and I've emailed all this to here's Mrs. Wagner. I've emailed all this to the trustees ahead of time so we can save a little bit of time. Somehow last year, they managed not to send this to us. Even though we do appropriations, the Budget Commission tells us how much we should be getting from our tax levies. And so we have to, and they were kind enough to give us all the paperwork, pass a resolution to adopt these amounts, which come out to, in the general fund in the county health, there was total $118,025.53. The fire district and the fire apparatus would come to $102,637.13, and estimate of tax rate to be levied inside the 10 mil limit is $2.20, and outside of it is $2.50. So, if one of you will make a resolution, and we have to sign this, fill in this report.
I'd like to table that. I just got it a couple hours ago, and I would like to have
Well,
some
the
time to
only,
read through it.
that's fine, except that they failed to send it to us because they didn't realize that we didn't have it last year. And so it was kind of an oversight, and this was supposed to be done by the end of October.
And more discussion on it, Trustee Morrison, I think we should probably move on this, being that was the case, because I can remember past years having these earlier than now. And certainly you want to wait a little longer to discuss that more.
How time sensitive is it? Is it something?
Well, they wanted as soon as possible, and I did tell Anthony Magnetta that our meeting was tonight, and if it was signed, I would then give it to him, fax it to, well, I have to mail it to him. I have to mail the original, make us a copy.
Moore's given us this another month that we get.
And that's
And when-
contingent that
and-
everybody pays taxes.
And certainly, I think what Kurt's saying, we want to get those a little quicker this year. And generally, when do they come out? Supposed to March or April? Karen?
No, they were supposed to have that to us the beginning of October.
Hmm.
And because it didn't happen last year, it was overlooked.
Okay, so we'll be getting this year's next month or something, right?
You mean for 14? That is for 2014.
Okay.
See,
So
the
we're not
Budget
that late.
Commission gives you tells you what they're expecting you to get in your levies.
Mhm. I understand that.
And then we do appropriations because we are not required to do a budget.
Right.
Okay? I'm gonna go on when Mr. Morrison's looking at that. Last thing I have is last month, Mr. Stroni brought up that there was a confusion with the phone number, so I did some research and found out that the phone numbers that are given to any phone book that's printed in the area comes from a disc from AT&T. So, I'm in the process of trying to find the person that writes the disc to tell them how to make the corrections so that next year, because I look back, that's been that way for a couple of years. So I am on top of that, okay? And the only correspondence that we got yesterday, and I did not put it in the mail drawer because of tonight's meeting, was that notifying us that February 1st, 2014, all of our liquor permits will be, alcoholic beverage permits will be expired the 1st of February. So they're in the process of sending the paperwork to the individuals, okay?
Yeah.
Is Mr. Morrison going to sign this?
Yeah, so I'm going to make a motion here for resolution accepting the amounts and rates determined for the Budget Commission, authorizing necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor for the Township of Ellsworth here. Do you have a second on that?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Trustee Morrison. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes for me. Anything else, Karen, in all that stack of paper?
We made a motion last month for the balance to be read for the fire and the EMS also at the meeting.
I gave you the papers.
Do you want to do it audibly for the people?
Well, then you have to come back.
Yes, don't forget.
Okay, the unencumbered balance for the fire department is $14,932.86. And for the EMS is $14,786.36, they're almost identical.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're already up to the maintenance report. Matt, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hey, Mr. Brony.
Had another busy month. We completed the roof sealing project in the maintenance, post office, building, fire station, fire hall. Had a total of 31 5-gallon buckets of aluminum fiber seal for those roofs. And when I went down to purchase it, I was able to save us another $8.76 a 5-gallon can.
Good job.
So, saved a couple bucks there. So that project's done. We had one burial, we shared services with Ellsworth Township. Lane, they had an interment a couple weeks ago. They also called this past week. They want, since you were talking about deeds for their crypts.
The band's on.
Okay, that's super. And they also mentioned that there was a past invoice. I made up an invoice for when we bought the wood for the crypts, and they came 3 times to open and close. And I submitted it with one of my, I think last month's report.
Okay, so
But
you're
if-
telling me
There's an invoice that needs to be sent to them. If you can't find it, I'll,
wood and
Correct.
3 openings and closing?
yeah, I have, I made an invoice up and it was in my report.
Were they actually
so-
doing remains, or were they working on the crypt and that then?
No, they're replacing remains, and what they did, they organized them, and they brought some in and took some out.
They're generating most of the invoice, right, because they have the key and you've given them the liberty to.
No,
Yeah.
no, they have to go through us, we have the keys.
Okay.
And this last one, they did send you a check. You're right, and I asked them, just like they, all the other funeral homes, bring a check when you want to go in or out. So that'd be just like, then we don't have to create an.
In our contract with them, what is the fee for
$150.
$150 every time you go over and open the door for them?
Right.
Thank you.
So, okay. Oh, and I also had a resident inquire about a plot, and that was one of the first things that they asked too, about a deed. And I said, I want to call them, I said I'd call them back once we find out what we're doing about deeds, and how we handle deeds for them.
Like we always have.
Yeah, you'll mark down the plot number, you'll forward that information to Karen, and Karen will generate that deed.
Okay. All right, super.
Okay?
I also have in the packet, I went back to AM door for the zoning office. It's rusted through at the bottom. There's a $254 difference if we keep the frame and just replace the door. And the total of the door would be $1,416. And that quote's included.
1,000?
$1,416. And it'd be exact door, except, and it would be, you have to have a panic bar on it now, instead of a doorknob.
That's the costly part.
Yeah, that's 300 and some, about $320
Okay.
additional cost. But that door does have
Cancer.
big time.
Okay. Matt, do you think we could nurse that door for a while if we put a brass kick plate on the bottom of each side?
Well, that might be a possibility.
'Cause that's a terrible amount to pay
Right.
for a door.
Yep. It would look like a sore thumb.
We could paint it gray.
Yeah, it would look different. But yeah, we could do that. I'll look into that.
Or either that, or can we get a tin shop to maybe fabricate a couple panels for us and screw it in and paint it?
Yeah. I think we'll do something. Get through the winter. Okay. All right, I'll look at that.
Give me the dimensions, I might be able to get us some pieces of metal too.
Okay. I'll best
E&L
get that.
will,
Yeah,
they can shear us off some pieces.
yes, that's what I was gonna do.
Okay.
I'll go talk to him. The township truck, did an oil and filter change in-house. The clearance lights, they would flash on and off, driving down the road, I found a loose wire, repaired that. Tires were rotated and front end alignment over a true tread. And the truck was out of line quite a bit. Rolling Hills, the turnaround, we backfilled that with 3 tons of slag, and the exact cost of that was $7.75 a ton. so out of Lafarge. We had a mower issue, a idler pulley that you cannot grease, it's a sealed bearing. I called Ducat and it was over 7 days just to get the part. I called DNS and he had it fixed in 2 days, so I took it over there. And then about the phone number confusion, I received a phone call last week from Dean's Mower Repair up in Niles, Ohio, that they had blades that were purchased that were ordered back in May of 2012, and they've been calling us. And they were calling the other number. And they were already paid for. So I made the trip up to go get them, instead of leaving money sit on the table.
Thank you for doing that.
But I couldn't believe it. They sat there for a year and a half. But they were persistent, and I thanked them for that. I also visited Lordstown Maintenance, did a little meet and greet, and we discussed about the salt program. That's all set up, so we have to do the salt. Changed the smoke alarms here in the town hall. And the generator pond pumping project, there's a couple things that happened with that. The gentleman that owns Current Electric, and you approved his bid, when I called him to schedule this, he passed away the night before. Unfortunately, I had an unfortunate discussion with his wife. But later on in the day, Professional Engines called, and they recommended this gentleman. His name's Sam. I have Sam Electric, but it's actually Mike's Electric, and I have the quote.
He goes by Sam.
Yeah, his name's, I just called him Sam, and it's actually Mike Electric is what he goes by. But he does a lot of work for Professional Engines in their generator. He did meet the quote. He said he knows who Don was from Current Electric. They've worked together in jobs too, and he said he'd honor the same bid, and the price hasn't changed. The only issue that we have and we need to discuss is he wanted a $2,000 deposit to start, and that's on the 3rd page of your quote. It's the last page.
So what is the name of this company?
It's Mike's Electric. It's right here. It's in your packet. He's in Girard, Ohio.
And you've discussed that with him, why he feels that a government agency is so demanding?
Yeah, we had that discussion, and I also asked him, I said, well, what if we bought the parts? And, you know, he said, well, you'd have to buy them. If you buy them from Gray Bar, you're gonna pay more, and I believe we have an account at Gray Bar. But if we buy them, he bid the job from Youngstown Electrical Supply. So I mean, we can do that also, but we'd have to set up an account at Youngstown Electric in order to get the parts, and then make arrangements with him to do the labor. He's willing to do either way.
Discussion, trustee?
He wants a $2,000 down payment before he'll start. You know, we're talking in the next couple of weeks getting this project underway.
Right.
He says that the $2,000 is to buy his material.
Yeah.
Did anybody check on him through?
Paul Hendricks.
He says he's good?
He's fine.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a problem with him.
I don't have a problem paying him for his material up front.
And I also think that we shouldn't lengthen this project, we should shorten this project up. You know, that's what we should be doing here. You know, you've done a lot of planning here, we have the ability to do it here. Now,
Well, the weather's crunching us,
yes,
you know, and, we've got some excavating to do. And I also met with the chief here today, went back up today, and we met and we walked everything through, and we talked to Dave about putting on the scuba gear and going down in the manhole and doing the pipe and all that. So we got everything pretty much organized. But, you know, since the roof project's done, everything, I think we need to finish the year out with this project.
Maybe
It's gonna
next
be
week.
beneficial for the fire department, it's gonna be beneficial for the sheriff's department, because if we lose electricity, they can't use their outposts, they can't use the garage, we can't get the truck out, you know, we don't have any water, you know, and yeah, I'm sure these guys would like to fill trucks up in a nice warm garage instead of going to the pond.
It gives it a more simplistic system too. It doesn't have two sets of switches and we're on one.
Right.
One central area.
Right, and we're gonna remove a service entrance, so we're gonna save an electric bill. That's about $200 a month.
You're still gonna pay that electricity on that 1 meter.
The one on the fire station,
Yeah, but
yeah.
aren't you gonna run the electricity over from the fires? You gonna combine the two?
Yeah,
Well, you're still gonna pay for it.
not as much.
Mm.
And we don't use, that maintenance building doesn't use much electricity.
Okay, so okay, Matt, where are we at now?
So, yeah, I think we need to make a decision on this Mike's Electric, if you want to do a deposit, or do you want us to set up an account at Youngstown Electric Supply, and, I'll go get the parts.
I'll make a motion to accept those terms and conditions of that so we can get this project going. $2,000 down payment on that.
All right, I'll second that motion.
All in favor, trustee Morrison?
Yes.
Trustee Spellman, yes.
Okay. Also, keep updating on this. I already fabricated the SR-35 pipe for the pump. That's ready to go. We're going to add a pressure switch, so if anybody leaves, if they turn the valve off, the pump will shut off. So we're not going to burn a pump. And I'm also going to add a light to it in the fire station, so a flashing light. So if they're running the pump, flashing light. So we're going to try to take care of all the.
Make it dummy proof.
Oh yeah, we're trying to work on that. So also on the generator, on the fuel, I talked to Bob about that. I understand we have a co-op coming to fill it.
Agland, yeah.
Or Agland.
They had filled it before.
And I'm gonna check with them to make sure that is getting done. I don't recall anybody coming
That's who did
to
the
service.
We originally had a contract with Professional Engine and
They service that, they don't fill
service
it.
it.
Yeah, and
Fuel.
he checked the fuel the one time, it caught a little bit low, and we put some in.
Yeah, so I want to try to get on a schedule that we get that filled on a timely basis.
Okay.
And that generator will run for 48 hours, and it's a 200-gallon tank. So I'm gonna look into that. DNR water came in, we had our charcoal filter was leaking really bad. He replaced the seals and put a seal kit in the piston. He gave us great service on that. The flags have been all removed from the cemetery, and I gave them over to the VFW for disposal. I ordered 3 new flags, and they came in yesterday, so I put a new flag up here at the town hall and one at the administration building. I'm waiting for one more for the cemetery. So that's done. And you have the flag for Western Reserve School, so
Yeah.
that was really tethered. I want to get one up there. That looks bad.
They seem to be only lasting about a year up there.
They get beat up pretty good.
Yeah.
But,
Everything works up there with wind but the windmills.
yeah. I do have one question, and we could probably discuss this at a further time, but bidding and quote procedures, I don't know what those procedures are, coming from a private sector. When we bidding these jobs for this electrical, is there a dollar limit, or do they have to be closed bids? I just don't want to go down the wrong path, and I want some direction.
I'll find the answer to that.
Okay. We had the state boiler inspector came, he inspected both boilers. He said they look great. He'll be sending the certificate. And almost the final thing, ODOT, the LTAP training. Berlin Center brought that to my attention. He goes to quite a few of those. And I also, in the packet, is a driving course sponsored by ODOT. And here's, Trustee Morrison gave me this. This is actually a catalog of some of the other courses that they offer that are, sometimes they'll pertain to us. I know Berlin Center, he goes every year just for snow plowing, like a little snow plowing course. He goes in sign maintenance. There's a sign maintenance course that Kevin goes to. That's pretty helpful. But there's one down in, the one that's coming up is a defensive driving course.
I
Okay,
have the check one.
so
Okay.
we're going to make a motion for the total amount of that check, Karen. Do you know how much was that for?
$30.
$30? Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve $30 expenditure for the defensive driving course for our maintenance worker.
I'll second that motion.
Trustee Morrison,
Yes.
trustee Spellman, yes. Thank you, Karen, for that check.
And one thing that isn't on the agenda, and I just got it today at 4 o'clock, so I'm going to share it with you. I know we've had copiers and fax machine issues. I contacted American Business Center on South Avenue, and the gentleman came out today, and he looked at our copiers and what we have. He sent over a quote. It's a state contract price, STS purchase. You can buy the machine out, or you can do a lease, and they service it, they provide all the toner, the ink, and it's pretty much done. It has fax, email
Does
capability.
it identify code who's making the copies? Can you plug in the code? And that way we can kind of watch that, you know, when we have an open copier and everybody's using it.
It's actually, and you can limit that. So say you want, example, the fire department's only allowed to make up to 50 copies max. It's done. After 50, and they have to get approval from, they have to get another code from somebody else that's in charge of it. So,
We're spending a lot less than that.
Yeah, well, we only spent
but, I had no idea what
$1,500
avenue,
on copiers last
what it
year.
would cost,
Yeah.
but it's just something to open a door.
Well, we're gonna table that, and we're gonna look that over, and, I talked to ABC about that, but that's outstanding that you went that far on and did that.
I'd like to entertain the thought of the idea of sending our maintenance manager down to the Columbus conventions. I know some of the classes I attended on cemetery management, road construction and maintenance, signage. I think that a lot of that would be right down his alley. I just throw that on the table to think about a little bit. I don't want any action on it tonight, but I think that would be a good idea, for our township to get that knowledge in Matt here, to do his job more efficiently and know the legal ramifications, all these things.
And what also is in that is we've heard so much more about the cemeteries. And there's also cemetery sexton courses that we've visited down there. All three of us have been to those things, but they have those. Not only that, is there some Attorney General's opinions on those things? And as you've seen the volume of work Karen did on this last one, there's things to do. So I'm also thinking in that direction. So
We could make you an authority.
yeah, and we'll think that and maybe deal with that next month. So complete your maintenance report.
Yes.
And you got. Thank you, Matt. Good zoning report, Mr. Durkin. You ready tonight?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. Matt, before I start, I wanted to say thanks for turning the copy over. That was a big help with the zoning commission last night. I know they were happy to have a copier there available. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
For the month, we had 19 return calls. Currently, we're working on 5 zoning permit reviews. I've been continuing to work with the zoning consultant, who's also working on the land use plan. Nearly right now, we've had 10 hours of work with Fred Schrock and Janine Goddard, myself and the consultant. What I'd like to do with the trustees' approval for Thanksgiving week, I'd like to move that Tuesday to next week and do 3 days next week, because I have a relative that's going to be here from Ireland. And we're going to be kind of a little tied up with her. That needs your approval.
I think that's doable. Will we serve enough notice and we'll put it on the door and we'll put
With
it out?
signs, we'll do the phone greeting and whatever. That's all I have for right now, Chairman. You want to read the letter that I gave you?
This envelope you get?
Yeah, that's fine.
Mr. Durkin gave us an envelope and wanted us to, a little bigger font would have helped here.
I'll work on that.
He wrote a letter to the chairman and to the trustees. I'm submitting a letter of retirement effective 10/30.
11:30.
11/30, 13. I unfortunately am in a position to retire and have made a choice to take this option. Fiscal Officer Gritty has provided paperwork notifying the township and the possible decision. The letter is confirming that I am exercising my OPERS option with a 10/30/13 effective date. I will, however, be available in December and January in a non-paying status should you need my assistance during the transition with the new trustee board, new zoning commission, zoning appeals board of 2014. I do appreciate the opportunity you gave me of serving as zoning inspector for the last few years.
Chairman, if I can make one little small correction, it's 11:30/13, not 10:30, but
Okay.
I wanted to
Did I say that twice?
Yes. I just wanted to take the opportunity to
11.
thank the citizens of the township from the time I've had to be on the zoning appeals board back in '07, the number of trustees that I was able to work with over that time, the commission members, the appeals board members, but more importantly, the citizens of the township. It's something I'll always remember, and I'm as close as a phone call. And in my letter, I indicated I'm willing to do December and January in non-paying status and do it for free for the township. Township's been very good to me and my family, and any way, or shape, or form that you need me, I'm as close as a phone call.
Mr. Durkin, you called us home, so we appreciate your service too. This seems to be about your retirements and things, right?
Well, what's happened, Chairman, with everybody watching the news, you see in Columbus what's going on with the number of retirements, not only there, but in Washington. I've had the chance to have 30 years, and that began when I was 16 and I was working on the playgrounds for about 52 cents an hour. And those were probably the greatest days, because you were entrusted with people's children. And it's been a long road, and it's been a good road. And but again, I'm here to serve. I'm as close as a phone call, but I want to thank the citizens. And thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Durkin, and we'll figure out a little warmer thank you when we have an opportunity here. I hope you get a chance to talk to some of the citizens on the way out tonight. And we'll expect to see you next month, maybe.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what a great thing, so somebody go out of their way and volunteer and try to help us through this transition here, so. Fire Department report. Mr. Sternberg, how you doing, Chief?
Good, how are you? Since last month, we've had one structure fire, 2 good intent calls, 2 service calls, 2 false alarms, 7 emergency medical calls, 4 motor vehicle crashes, and 6 EMS transports. It's like we have a couple, I talked to you about Mrs. Sin and her joining the fire department, and now Wally, her husband, wants to join as soon as he gets in the EMT class. And we're short on pagers, so we don't have any way to alert these folks. And we haven't got pagers. We haven't purchased pagers in like 6 or 8 years. So it's been a long time. So I'd like to get 5 of them. I got a quote from Staley Communication in Youngstown. These are programmed 5 pagers with the chargers. $2,403.80 programmed. That's 5 of them. Item of discussion that we discussed this before when we had a couple rescues. Most recent one at the horse park. Looking at side-by-side, I know we talked to a couple residents. We talked about getting a side-by-side with a Stokes basket attachment. It's something we can fight grass fires with. One of the tankers paid off. We I was just wondering, for 2014, I'd like to start working on that when like I said, when the tanker's paid off, and make sure that's doable, so we can
And we've heard
move
that,
forward on that.
we've had discussion, I think, and the priority being that,
Right.
and certainly your budget, we do have a carryover, so we're being frugal, but we need those things, and that'll be under the apparatus, it'll come out of that fund.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, so, but we were talking about, I guess, so, if we can make that happen, that'd be, if we can make that happen next year, I think that's possible, so.
May I interject?
Yes, go ahead, Chair.
Chief called me at home the other night, and we talked about this, and then I did some research.
We were talking about how soon the tank will be paid off.
How the tank will be paid off, we'll have around $6,000 to pay off in the spring of 2014. And the way we financed the tanker wasn't supposed to be done that way. There's a whole process you have to go through. You have to buy a insurance policy, guarantees the payment, which is an additional, one township made a $75,000 purchase, and the insurance payment was another $5,000. So I asked Chief how much he thought this vehicle would cost, including a trailer. So you're obviously gonna have to trailer it to where you're going. And you told me,
Somewhere in the neighborhood of but the prices I received from local dealerships, we're looking at Leonard's for a trailer, and there's a Polaris dealer in Austintown that has a unit similar to what we're looking at. Somewhere in the neighborhood of, I would venture to guess, we're looking at about 28,000, something like that with trailer. So,
that being said, there is a way that we could do this and save ourselves the insurance policy, the interest on the loan. You can make an advance from the general fund to the apparatus, and then you pay back the general fund as the apparatus comes in.
Yeah, instead of going conventionally banks, because
Instead of-
there's a lot of requirements.
Because it's a minimal amount of money.
It's all,
Okay, the tanker right now is financed through Farmers National Bank,
Yeah.
and they did not require the insurance of us.
No, that's because I didn't do the process. But when the process was done, it was not done the way it should have been.
and all them rules have changed. too,
And
truthfully.
yes, and Karen Gaglione down at the prosecutor's office is the one that
Right.
takes you step by step.
No, Burnham, when they were buying their new
Yes.
pieces, they found out, they were going the old conventional way, what we did. So those rules have changed, so.
And
whether-
that's who I
Right,
contacted
right,
because I
wrong,
knew
it's the
that.
times that change, but we gotta do it right, so.
just,
So it's an option.
yeah, just something to think about.
It's going to save you the interest and the finance charge.
And if we do not buy anything, what happens to our apparatus tax?
We accumulate it.
It accumulates?
Oh, yeah, because it's a tax levy that everybody in this township pays,
Yeah.
so it's our money.
And you wanna hear already, because we have it, doesn't mean we have to spend it. But, this seems worthy and it's something that we have a need.
But this is a piece of equipment that our department could use because of the layout of our township.
Do we have enough room under roof?
Yeah, we discussed the room issue, and we feel that we can house it, so we think that we can make room for it, so.
Okay, we'll discuss it more next year then.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. And also, the last thing I have is I received an email yesterday from ISO that our information was forwarded to a field rep, and we should be contacted in about a month. So,
Okay, and then we'll do the water movement, field maneuvers?
Possibly, maybe.
They will request us the next step then.
Yeah, well, we just gotta wait and hear from them.
Okay. Good work on that then, Chief. Then what you're asking for money is the $2,408.80.
Yeah, $2,403.80 for the pagers.
You make a motion on that?
We got 2408 at the top and 2403 at the bottom. I believe it's 2408.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, 2,408.
I'll make a motion for the 2408.80.
I'm sorry, yeah.
And I'll second that. Trustee Morrison?
Yes.
Trustee Spellman? Yes. All right, Chief, you got the EMS? You're gonna take a swing at it. You got both of them tonight?
Other than the 7 transports, the 6 transports, Quest is up to date. I got the appropriations from Karen this evening, for Brian. That was the only thing that, Brian requested, and that's pretty much.
Well, that's good. When we see a check going out to Quest, it means we got money in, so.
Everything's up to date. All the charts are up to date and recorded.
Okay, well, stay after, we need to get them numbers up, huh? We're at $14,000, $15,000, we gotta. All right, Chief, really good. Have any committee reports tonight? Trustee Morrison?
I've been working with Matt on our project for the electric, the water, and the computer lines. I talked to officials at the the sheriff's department, and we found out that that is not a static IP line, so we can use the same computer line for all departments, and we're talking about different ways to run it back and split it and whatever. And then I got the number for our county IT, and Matt's been discussing the details with him.
He's coming out next week.
Yeah. So that's what we've been working on, and probably by our next meeting, we'll have that underway, that project.
We won't change
Hopefully
that.
completed.
That idea we looked at, Bobby, 5 years ago, getting a router now, we'll go around all that, huh?
Well,
Bear on,
yeah.
Make
The
it-
router.
make it
isn't-
hardwired.
Yeah. Yep, they'll accept that. The sheriff's department doesn't have a problem with it, but they didn't want the router. That's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Morrison. Well, again, this isn't a thing for tonight, but be thinking, and it'll probably include all of us, and especially you, Karen. We have 2 new trustees coming, and the dues for association or nonprofit for the general fund payment to those. There's a little sensitivity that when we make reservations, that if you're a township association member, and then there's a time, I think we have till January 6th or 14th to make our reservations, Karen. So hopefully we can get that in time for the 2 new trustees. So that's under 505.241. If anybody wants to look that up, and I'm sure we know that we can do that. Also under Ohio Revised Code 505.66, it more or less says that a Board of Trustees may remove snow from a public school property or other public properties at the request of the Board of Education from the city, exempted village, or school district. Legislative authority or governing body. Such a board of elections or legislative authority or governing body may reimburse the township then for the cost of labor, materials, and utilization of such maintenance at a fee mutually agreed upon by that Board of Education. Legislative authority or governing body of the Board of Trustees. This came up about 1.5 years ago. Jeff Williams talked at that time with the superintendent and the principal. It's simply the law that they can do that, and even at that time when it came back to me and I talked to the principal, I told him it would be that why this is a common sense rule, that we're addressing the public safety, but we wouldn't put our safety township in peril to do somebody else, but we can work together on this. So this may include trustees that I'm talking to and Karen for the billing, which we don't have a problem with the shared services. Matt, we did an excellent job in Lordstown, but it may be the bulk salt that they may need too. So they made a request, and if the other trustee doesn't have a problem, I can begin talking to the school about that.
I have no problem with you talking to the school, Larry.
Okay. Karen, I give you a copy of that, just in case.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I attended Eastgate Council of Governments. You know, this is, these are the ones that are in charge of the monies that come in through certain parts of government funding projects. Ohio Public Works for one of them, Ohio Association of Inter-Regional Conferences and Councils. So just getting an inventory map, which I talked about last month, that we can then begin to qualifiers. And generally these are big projects, not like we would have here, but what we could use here is about roads, and of course all these grants that come by, you have to have needs. So I'm doing the work on that. When I heard the news that the Mahoney County Commissioners found $55,000 to help some people for septic and sewage tie-ins, we had one severe case in our township that many things happened to a resident that almost essentially the carpet got pulled out from under her feet. I wrote a letter of support and made phone calls, and she seems to be making headway. So hopefully that resident gets that, and it had nothing related to the other ones that we filed extensions for and tried to help the people as much as we could. This is coming from a separate fund, so. And then I also, Pat took off here, but I filed a complaint with the, on a vacant house that we had last, a complaint in March. They simply just boarded up some windows. The power was still on at the house. The pump kept running, and then some pump kept pumping it out. So after the third day, the neighbor came over and tried to make the phone calls, and there was some residual oil that was in the fuel tank and wound up going around, but the meter is no longer on the house. So I've asked the Board of Health to come out, and we still, once again, in the trustees, I'm going to try to educate about neighborhood stabilization, and it sounds like it's going to be more challenging with the cuts from the Board of Health. Okay, that completes my committee reports, and I'll share that information I get on those items with all of you here. We had unfinished business. We didn't have anything that was hanging out there. New business. I would like to give those thank you for those people who made that trick or trunk again. You could see the smiles, Chief, Fire Corps. Done a good job there. Anybody that's in the neighborhood, there was a kick, and we had great weather.
Good turnout.
Well attended. Probably one of our best years, Karen. All right. So we're going to do an announcements here. Our next meeting will be December 11th, the same time here. And I'd like to begin the good of the order. Want to start in the back or come in the front? Larry, you want to be the first one? Yeah.
Okay. Out of curiosity, where's the location of that abandoned house that you were referring to with the boarded up windows?
9914 West Hill Drive.
Okay, thank you.
There's three there, Larry, a house I grew up on Gulf, and then there's one at the top of the hill, and this is at the top of the West Hill.
What's that address again?
9914. Part of the confusion with the Board of Health is that they have it listed as 14 West Hill Drive, but it's 9914. Chief, we're going to get back to those numbers again in the program this year. We
responded up there as well. I contacted the EPA about that, and they had pump trucks come out. That basement vacked out and hauled the material hauled out of there and disposed of at a proper site. It was a proper disposal site.
Well, your authority got them more squirming, because when you shut it down, you know, what they were pumping out was pumping out oil, emulsified oil and water, because it had done at that point down West Hill, going down on Galt Road. So this, and I want to try to attack the house more by throwing a couple boards on it. It's not the way to go, and then things happen again. Hear anything? Anything, Randy? Fred, you have anything tonight? If anybody knows, this is Fred Houston. He's a trustee-elect. We have a certification election going. Do you have anything tonight, Lee?
No.
Hi, Gary, Sherry, how are you? Anybody? Nothing? Mr. Mara, yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple questions. We keep talking about physical report, financial statement. What financial statements are we supposed to see as a township? I know we get a balance of a checkbook. That's not a financial statement. So what are we supposed to see? I know we've been asking for this for a long time. I'm kind of a numbers guy. I'd like to see it. Are we ever going to see anything like that?
These are fire department and EMS one.
That's what you asked for.
Yes, I think they should be part of every month's meeting.
So do we have, what financial statements are we supposed to see? I guess is my first question.
Whatever the trustees are requesting, they've requested the fire department and the EMS because that was tending to be an issue.
Okay, what about public requests for financial statements? That's been done by several people, I know, as far back as August. Are we ever going to see those?
Mm-hmm.
When?
Well, I didn't bring them tonight. We will be doing, whenever the trustees decide they're doing the budget, a lot of this I will send to the trustees, but when they do the budget, there will be whatever reports they request.
Well, no, that's not my question. My question is, what financial statements are we going to see? What are you required to do? Because according
I'm not
to the Ohio
required
Revised
to.
Code, physical records must be maintained in such a manner that they can be made available for inspection to any member of the general public at any reasonable time during regular business hours. So I know the requests have been made as far back as August, and as of yet, we've seen nothing as far as a financial statement.
I had.
Financial statement means
Go ahead.
what's there, what we spend it on, not just a balance. You know, what are our expenditures? That's part of the financial statements. When are we going to see that as a township?
I'll have them for you next month. Do you want, or would you like it mailed to your home?
Well, what I want to know is, I shouldn't have to request that. That should be an ongoing report that is done all the time. It shouldn't be something that somebody has to request. That should be provided to your trustees every month, not just when somebody requests it. Or am I wrong in saying that?
Excuse me,
Trustee.
Mr. Marr, I've been coming here since 1982,
Good for you.
and the only reason why even the amount in the checking account is being mentioned is because I brought it up when Nick Kane was here. Before I came, there was never a mention at all. So it's funny how you're bringing it up now, when 30-some years later, you want it to be brought forward.
Well, because at any time that I wanted to see the financial statements, I could go see them and they were shown to me.
In the previous?
Sure.
We had a condensed form and every line was broke out and it had a balance. It didn't show the activity on it. That's what Ms. West put out in front every month. I think that should be a minimum standard, and I think we can do that. We can do that, Karen?
Sure.
Okay, and
So,
anything.
I guess if she needs you guys to request that, request it.
We're requesting it.
All right.
Because, I mean, I know there's a lot of people in the township who like to see that. Me
And-
being one of them.
And then you can make a public record request them if there are deeper activities, if you want
Well,
to
that
see.
request has already been made by several people, so.
Well, I
don't
will
know if
ask
need
you
to-
directly. Do you want it mailed to your home?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Shelley, Kelly, Debbie, Mr. Tripp?
I think I'd like to have the financial report available at each trustee meeting for the public that attends this meeting.
And that's what I think we just made this request to.
Copies of it, yeah. Not verbally, but a written report. What the balance was last month, what the expenditures were this month, and then what the balance is
I will
now.
bring one copy because I'll tell you, this new system runs multiple pages. So if I can get it to condense instead of writing every check that was written out, it will be like 20-some pages otherwise.
Well, that's not what I'm requesting.
Okay?
I'm requesting a summary sheet like we used to get.
Well,
In years
this
past.
system doesn't do that same report. The reports are in a different format.
I know it is, but I think that your responsibility would be to put in the format that the general public could understand. I don't need a bunch of code numbers and things like that, you know?
Okay.
What the prior month's balance was, what the maintenance department expenses was, what the fire department's expenses was, and it would be wonderful if there could be some subparts to it explaining, well, this was to repair something, this was to buy something, but this is the total in each department. And not a bunch of computer codes, because you used to give me that.
Well, I can give you what it generates. You understand?
No, I didn't hear you.
I will give you what the computer generates. I don't have the time to do a individual spreadsheet.
Well, that's what I'm asking for. And I'm asking for you to make the time to do it.
I will give you what comes out of the computer.
So you're not going to cooperate with the public requesting something that's easy to understand and read.
Well, I will mail to you also the best, and then you communicate with me. I'll either mail it to you or I'll PDF it to you because I have your email. How's that?
Maybe the proper way to do this is for the trustees to send me to the same school that Karen does to understand the computer and what it generates, and then that way, when she gives it to me, I can understand it. They call it education, so I guess it's time to educate the public. And as a taxpayer, I make that request too. If it comes in computerese, I would like to be educated to read it.
Could I make a follow-up question about the same thing?
Let's go around and do the rest of the good. I don't know if that's feasible too, and I understand what you're saying, Jim. I haven't been visiting that program. I can't answer for Karen about that, and I will not answer for, but I think that there could be a condensed, understandable way to do this. If we have to seek out some outside help to do that, I think it's important that this report gets in front of the public every month.
Yeah,
I think
it's a problem. If that computer spits it out in Chinese, I guess I have to go learn Chinese.
I think we need a report we can all understand, everybody in here. So.
It's simple numbers and an explanation.
What program generates this?
It's a UAN. It comes from the state of Ohio. It's the one that 90% of the government entities use.
Are we required to use that?
Basically, yeah. It's fund accounting. It's not accounting like I used to do when I worked for Murdoch Doors. It's a different type of accounting. So I know what you want.
Yeah.
But and the trustees will tell you that last year we had such a hard time trying to understand the reports that I did do spreadsheets, but it took me hours to do them. for us to do the budget, did I not?
Yeah, and what we're asking, and what, I'm gonna ask this trustee for discussion, that if what we can provide that would help to obligate the request for the public of that. And I think, you know, we're gonna need some IT assistance. Are we going to, you know, are we gonna have to hire somebody, consultant to show how to fine tune this thing? Trustee Morrison, you have any thoughts?
I guess my final statement on this is, I guess I got spoiled because the previous financial officer used to put a summary sheet up, and it was in English. And it had the previous balance, what expenditures was, and the final balance. And it was on either one or two sheets of paper. And it was not in Roman numerals, it was regular numbers and English, and you could explain it. Now, it wasn't the detail that a financial officer is used to, that you would be used to, but it would be something that the public could read. That's it. I think I've said enough.
Trustee Morrison, any thoughts on that?
I'm going to go back through my records and reacquaint myself with some of the older, you know, we could understand that. The older accounting spreadsheets we used to get from NIF.
But this system is not that system. They've realigned it, so it doesn't produce what you got then. I can't produce it, it isn't, they upgraded it the beginning of 2013. It's,
Here's what we're gonna do on a short term. We have to have a budget, and we're gonna have to schedule a meeting. Kurt, we have a calendar here, we're gonna schedule that. I think at that
We
time,
have to understand it before we can vote on it.
that's why I think we'll find out, and any assistance we can give along the way that we have. We'll set up a special meeting for a budget. We'll see how we've got this to work.
You know, we're still doing the appropriations, regardless of what we do with the budget.
Yeah, I got that, but we have two incoming new trustees. We're gonna have to do a budget before next year, 14. It'd be a great time to have something we can all understand and work with. Karen, do you have any problem with setting a date now? Trustee Morrison?
Let's set a date.
We'll do some exchanges, dialogue on what we can do, Karen, in between then. You have a calendar on the back of the door. Does somebody have a calendar?
I don't have one tonight.
Somebody with a smartphone have a calendar there for us?
Sure, what do you want to know?
I'd like to have it before our next meeting so that we have, what's December 8th on?
December 8th is on a Sunday, probably not a good day.
How about the 9th? And then we can strive to have some of these things ready, and some of these things we'll start speaking the same language here, Jim. Dee, you have anything tonight?
No, thanks.
Kelly, anything? Mr. Giblin, how are you?
Karen, I would like a copy of that also, if you can email it to me or mail, whatever is more convenient. One thing I'd like to clarify for people that didn't read Fred Houston's flyer that went out prior to the election. There was a flyer that was sent out to all the township residents by Jim Mulholland that stated that myself, Fred, Jim Tripp, several others had sued the township in the writ of mandamus. That is not the case. We were not seeking anything but action from the township. There was no financial gain. There was no financial motive.
Sean, you weren't here the last meeting. I said, you know, it should be a message when you get from the people to do our job. We should do our job. And That's what essentially the writ said, and it make me happy, because I think in time we'll find out. We're trying to work through that, negotiate through that, but that's what a writ of mandamus said. The people were tired, take the action, do what we're supposed to do. That should be egg on our face. And I feel a little bit of it. It wasn't a lawsuit. Gary, anything tonight?
My questions were answered on the financial statement.
Right.
Because you should be able to go on the computer and see what the township has or hasn't done, and that we can't find nothing.
That's one of the things that in this reorganizational meeting, we have a website. We're going to be figuring who takes that out, takes over that. Okay, and then one more thing, Mr. Metz. There's that ditch that I have talked to the county about 2 times. You know, they've looked in that, you know, if the extension of the guardrail, how they can modify that. We meet sometime January. We meet with the engineers.
Usually the second week.
We had a real fresh approach last year. We took pictures of all the things that we've brought to them. And a picture says 1,000 words, so hopefully we'll be a little more dynamic this year. That's going to be one of the pictures that'll be.
Yeah, I do feel that that's a public safety issue right there.
Yeah, it will be.
Get on the edge of that.
Okay, given to the good of the order, want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and stay well, and we'll see you here December 11th. Look for the notice of a special meeting sometime during the night. It'll be posted. We'll be able to see that.
We'll put it on the marquee. I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that. All in favor?
The ayes have it.